Hey there, let's go for a hike, shall we? I'm going to share my thoughts on what I think about Pat Kelsey's first few weeks at University of Louisville, a little over a month now. How I'm looking forward to the first game, his first team at the KFC Yum Center. We're going to dive into that in this podcast. Probably wondering to yourself though, why are we hiking? Well, I'm beginning training for a summer backpacking trip. I've got a backpack that weighs about 30 pounds in my back here. You can't see it. I'll go into more detail on that in a full video, so keep a lookout coming for that. That's going to be a journey that you'll be able to follow along as I prepare for that as well. So yeah, let's get to it. Let's talk a little hoops. What do I think of Pat Kelsey? It's almost the Kentucky Derby here in Louisville. And so that means a lot of people are going out to Churchill Downs. Well, this morning, Louisville men's basketball coach Pat Kelsey and members of his new staff, along with UVL football head coach Jeff Brom, some members of his staff, University of Louisville women's basketball head coach Jeff Walls, UVL athletic director Josh Hurd, among others, were out checking the backside at Churchill Downs this morning. Pat Kelsey, first experience, as you can imagine, kind of blown away by the experience. I think his comment was something like a lot more than he expected, or paraphrasing there. So, Cardinal authorities, Jody Demling was out there, talked to him, got photos of it all. Posted it all at cardinalauthority.com, and I was being a good teammate and sending out a newsletter, doing some tweeting, some message board commenting, Facebook posting, get the word out so people could hear what Pat Kelsey has to say about his roster build, what he has to say about his experience at Churchill Downs. It's pretty cool. So you ask, what do I think of Pat Kelsey? It's a good question. Can I quote a prior head coach and say, you already know what I'm going to say? That's a great question. Walk through a spider web. Probably walk through 2 spider webs. Sorry for the distraction in discussing my answer, my thoughts on Pat Kelsey, so I get the rest of the spider web off of me. That's probably, I do a lot of hiking, a lot of camping, as some of you know, and walking through a spider web I don't see, or spider web I do see. There goes another one. I might need to get a stick. That's what happens when you're on trails that haven't been traveled as much, especially for a couple days. It doesn't take long. But anyways, that experience is one of my absolute things I dislike about hiking. But it never crosses my mind when I'm thinking of, should I go hiking? Never crosses my mind. I'm rambling about spider webs. See how destructive they are? Destructive and distractive. There you go, kids. English with Michael McCammon. Okay, so back to the question. What do I think of Pat Kelsey? Great question. How far should we back up? To the higher? I've shared some of my thoughts there already, but just, I guess, a quick, when Louisville's going through the search, as Josh Hurd was searching for a new head coach, the process begins, and of course, it's Louisville basketball, so your mindset is, Sorry, there's a critter on the ground. Distracted. Squirrel! So your mindset is, you want to get one of the top dogs, i.e. the chase for Scott Drew, etc., etc. You get down to the head coach at College of Charleston, who's only been there a few years, doesn't have a huge, lengthy track record as a head coach, but certainly more than the man he's replacing at Louisville. So it was kind of, it's a younger guy. What do you expect? There's still a lot to be proven. Not really any NCAA tournament record to really stick your chest out about. Now, he's won regular season conference championships, tournament conference championships. So, proven he can win. Big records everywhere. 30 wins in the season, that type of stuff. So that type of stuff on the resume looks great. So you're like, okay, it might work. It's third, fourth, fifth choice, whatever you want to call it. Then he has the press conference, and, well, yeah. Card Nation woke up that day. As Pat Kelsey told us his story about his dream and coming across all these coaches of different head coach, these homes of different head coaches, and until he bumps into God's house, which is decked out in red and black with a cardinal flag on it. Wherein he acknowledged that, okay, so maybe I wasn't first or second choice. But also the way he was quick to embrace Card Nation. He was extremely, at an instant, provided the missing energy. Heck, cup runneth over in that first press conference. Just a little chunk of that energy is what Louisville fans have needed. And Pat Kelsey is bringing a whole freaking cupboard, garage, whatever you want to call it, full of energy. He's got us all fired up. Guy doesn't take time, gets his staff in place, immediately starts getting some great athletes to join his first roster at Louisville. Brand new roster. Aiden McCool, the only Cardinal coming back. So what do I think of Pat Kelsey? As we're just over a little month into his tenure at the University of Louisville. He hasn't coached a game. I don't doubt his coaching ability. I don't care where you are, what your schedule is. You win regular league conference titles, 25 plus wins, yada, yada, yada. That's impressive. But what really impresses me has been the way he has represented the University of Louisville from the moment he walked off that plane in that small airport over in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Yours truly, the first person to say, welcome, as he walked off the tarmac into the small reception area. So yeah, the energy that he's bringing, the work ethic that he is bringing, the determination that he is bringing, the results on the recruiting trail that he is bringing, the visibility that he is bringing. I mean, the guy's all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. As I mentioned, Churchill Downs this morning. But he's been moving across the country, maybe beyond its borders. He's made no secret that he's going to recruit internationally. He's got an Aussie on his staff. He's got an Aussie on his roster. Rain's going to make it rain threes from down under. I'm coming up with it already. Spent a couple years in Australia many years ago. We can discuss that another time. But back to Pat Kelsey. For example, there was a report from our national recruiting desk for 247 Sports on one of the top players in the 2026 class. Had a pause there. So, discussing Pat Kelsey and an example from our national recruiting desk at 247 Sports. They did a story covering these AAU events, the UIBL, 3 SSB, Under Armour, etc. We were recently at one talking to some of the top kids, and a Louisville native, Tyron Stokes, who's currently ranked number 2 in the country by 247 Sports, regardless of position in the 2026 class. The 247 Sports industry generated composite has Stokes as the number 1 prospect in the 2026 class, now playing out in California. But he is a Louisville product. He was asked about at one of these events recently by Brandon Jenkins of 247 Sports about Louisville, Kentucky, Arkansas, with John Calipari abruptly leaving and going to Arkansas. Obviously, Chinkapin gone at Louisville, Pat Kelsey in. So was asked about the contact with those programs, obviously with the local connection with them. Hasn't heard from Calipari in Arkansas. Hadn't heard from Kentucky, Mark Pope. But he has heard from Pat Kelsey in Louisville. Sorry, another pause as some mountain bikers mountain biked by. Should have left it on. Always wear your helmet, kids. They were. So yeah, Brandon Jenkins spoke to him. Pat Kelsey, amongst the 3 there, the only coach to have reached out to him thus far. Would not be surprised if now, after said quotes have come out, if both John Calipari's staff and Mark Pope's staff have reached out to him. But still, it's just an example of the work ethic, the determination, the willingness to reach out, to make contact, to further enhance, improve, restore the Louisville brand. There was a discussion on this on the Cardinal Authority message boards about how much that really means. That Pat Kelsey's already reached out for the others. In the grand scheme, maybe not much. But, as I mentioned on the boards at Cardinal Authority in such discussion, that it does continue to further validate the return of the Louisville brand. And it does show one of the nation's best players, a Louisville native, that Louisville still has him very much on their mind. And when you're quick to the draw like that, it also is probably going to go a long way when Stokes starts making decisions on where to visit, which offers to really honestly consider as the decision process winds along. So yeah, I think it's a great example of what Pat Kelsey is bringing to Louisville. Can't wait, absolutely cannot wait to see his action, his first team on the floor at the KFCM Center. I mean, talking to these guys that are committed, these transfers, they're fired up. Had a great conversation with Terrence Edwards. You've probably heard it. If not, go to cardinalauthority.com and you'll find it there, or you can go on my YouTube page where you are and find it there. Yeah, these kids that he's bringing in are fired up to help Louisville basketball become Louisville basketball again. One of the things that Terrence Edwards said to me that really jumped out was when he was growing up, Louisville's winning championships and going to Final Fours. He wants to help Louisville do that again. I think I've got some bikers coming.
How's it going?
Good, you guys?
Doing great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. That looked fun. Maybe I need to get a mountain bike.
Duration 1 hour 33 minutes 35 seconds. Elevation 644 feet. Heart rate 112.
3 miles in an hour and a half, which includes a stop to work. So it took at least 10-15 minutes. So, yeah, I think I've expressed my excitement for this new era of Louisville basketball. I was talking about the KFC Center, seeing his first team in the arena. Man. You know, actually, as I think of what to expect for game one of the Pat Kelsey era, because I think back to the Kenny Payne's first game, Chris Mack's first game, and having grown up in Louisville, being a teenager, going to high school during the dynasty of the 80s. Do your math. I'm that old. Jealous, though, huh? It's pretty sweet to be in the 80s as a Louisville fan walking around this town. But, you know, the expectations are always huge. You know, national championship expectations. And I'd have to go back, but I'm trying to recollect, and I don't think either one of those games were sellouts. Mostly full, but of course the landscape has changed. But as I think about Pat Kelsey's first game at the KFCM Center, maybe I'm setting myself up for disappointment, but I don't think so. I think if my expectation isn't met, I think a number of people will be disappointed. Many incarnation. I think Pat Kelsey and staff will be disappointed. I think Josh Hurd will be disappointed. I think the players will be disappointed. That KFC Center opening game, sell it out. Gotta be. Yeah, I get goosebumps just thinking about the roar. I get excited to think about the KFC Center late in the game. Louisville's up, might be big. It could be a tight ACC battle. Joker the Thief comes on, and we're not looking around wondering why are they playing Joker the Thief. But instead, just like at football, like it used to be at basketball, the fans are on their feet, absolutely going bonkers. I'm ready for it. We are all ready for it. Even people who aren't Louisville fans, who aren't members of Card Nation, they may not tell you, but they're ready for it. College basketball is not the same without Louisville basketball as Louisville basketball. Does that make sense? That's your lesson. College basketball fans, you may enjoy college basketball. You may sell out arenas, go to championship games. But if you're a true college basketball fan, the college game is not really as great, as glamorous, as thrilling as it can be unless the Louisville Cardinals are very much in the mix. Let's do it. Let's go. All right? Let's go. You still here?